passionate, captivating, engaging, philanthropist, game changer, unstoppable. Meet Giulio Della Fite, entrepreneur and businessman. He's been called many things, but what he's truly passionate about is helping others reach their potential in business and in life. As the founder of JDL Strategies, he's helped hundreds of everyday Australians become multi-millionaires while amassing a fortune through multiple successful business ventures. He's now one of the country's most recognised entrepreneurs and leaders on financial intelligence. Spreading his wisdom where he can, Giulio takes his knowledge from the boardroom to some of the most extreme places you can imagine. Speaking at Parliament House on economic affairs, leading entrepreneurs on expeditions to collaborate, and helping people create wealth are at the heart of what Giulio is all about, with a little bit of adventure weaved in. Giulio believes that fear and going to the edge in life and business are all part of the ride. But the opportunities life presents are part of the gift itself.
All right, welcome everyone. Let's go. Let's just move on this. We founded JDL 30 years ago, so 29 years. We're just gonna click now this August, 30 years. We have built over $8 billion in real estate in portfolios for over 2,000 clients. Was it to do with anything? We have been around for 30 years empowering people to know what they need to know what they need to know in order to get ahead, in order to build passive income. There is such protection in passive income. Tonight, I'm going to deliver to you the equivalent of 200 hours worth of reading. For those of you that are here right now, feel free to share the link that you received from us with others, especially people that are paying too much tax, that actually have no idea what the numbers are doing, right? Because we are going to bring incredible amount of know-how tonight. Our aim is to raise the financial intelligence of Australia. I have been doing this for 30 years. 30 years. When I started, I was skinny and I had hair. I arrived in Australia without a word of English. I did not know anyone. And what you're going to learn is this. We are indeed in the best country in the world. I'm going to share with you the accumulative knowledge that we picked up over the last 30 years. But I remember what it was to be just a beginner. I will never forget my humble beginnings. And what my intention to do tonight is to really raise the financial intelligence. So that's why it's important to share that we've been doing this for 30 years and we have transacted $8 billion, not million, $billion in real estate, helping people to accumulate assets, right? So we built and developed a revolutionary investment tracking software. Tonight, you're going to get insight into what is absolutely incredible, and we are in the future, right? Our work has been so significant. We have created over 2,400 multimillionaires, so much so that I got invited to speak in Parliament about the future of the Australian economy. So what you're not going to get from me tonight is any pushiness, any nonsense, no BS, just raising the financial intelligence of those of you that are here. Now, one of the things that we know is that time is your most precious commodity. So I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for being here with me tonight. For those of you that have not yet turned on your cameras, I would ask you to do so I can just see you and talk to you, and away we go. So let's just do this together. All right, here we go. I want you to be open-minded. Often, what we have noticed, right, over the last 30 years is only 8% of people, 8%. For those of you that are making notes, just write it down, 8%. 8% of people have the freedom to get ahead in life. 8%. So out of every 100 people we know, 8 of them are going to do much better than the other 92. And tonight, we're going to go into how this works, what the hypnosis is about, what stops people from going from the 92 into the 8%. And what I want you to understand is this. Thank you indeed for coming here, and being open-minded is a lot of the news are about bad news. We just came out of the pandemic. They threw a lot of money into our economy. And now they're talking about inflation and recession and no. Be open-minded, because in times like this, an incredible amount of opportunity gets created. A recession is no more, no less than an incredible amount of transfer of wealth. And the fact that you are here, and if you catch on to some of the concepts we're going to bring tonight, I promise you things will be very, very different. All right, for you going forward. Okay, let's just, one of the things that I was trying to do here is to help people is the connection piece. When I'm speaking to a screen right now, my experience of this moment is I have half of the cameras on and half of the cameras off, right? It's okay. It is part of what it is, and that's the new economy and how people is. But if we were together in presential, right, then I would be able to be with you. And this is very much what I would like to call is a being together sort of a feel. I understand some of you are cooking dinner, some of you are having the kids around and so on and so forth, and you're just listening to me. Oh, good. But if you could turn on the camera, I would really appreciate it, right? Now, I want you to be part of it. So I invited you to notice that only 8% of people are the wealthy people. The majority of people, they work for money their entire lives. And the truth is this, they don't know. When you ask people what you want, these are the 3 most common answers. I would like to be in a better relationship or getting into a relationship. I would like to be wealthier, right? Or just manage my life, right? What happens about money is the majority of people are not clear on how and where the numbers are performing for them or not. Tonight, this ends. So I go back to my promise to you, no more not knowing. What we want to do is to raise the financial intelligence for everyone. And as we go through the journey, I want to see the aha moments. I would love for you to write the aha moments in the boxes. If you have any questions for me, Nathan is here. He will take the questions, and then at the end we can go to a Q&A and really get engaged. You will get clear that your numbers have no feelings, but you do. Just think about it this way. If you went to the ATM right now and you pulled, the number that represents the amount of money you have in your bank account, you certainly will have some feeling about that. But it has no feeling back at you. So the switch we're going to be looking for is when you work for money and have money work for you. So let's just keep pushing this tray, right? People want to get ahead, but have no idea how to do it. So we have been indoctrinated to get an education. If we get an education, we get a job. And if we get a job, we are selling our time $1 per hour. The exchange is I will be paid according to my know-how or my specialization. And people don't think about leverage. They don't think about money working for them. And this is what we're going to do tonight. My mission tonight is to leave no one here. No one leaves tonight without knowing the numbers. Now, can you just give me a wave, right? If you look around, how many people do you think absolutely know their numbers, right? Give me a thumbs up if you think that the majority of people know their numbers, how they're performing, and give me a thumbs down if people don't know. What do you reckon? Up or down? What do you think? Yeah, lots of down, lots of pushing it down. My mission today is to get that to end for you guys. For all of you that are coming here to spend time with me, at the end, we're going to give you an incredible bonus. I have been training accountants, financial planners, wealth creators for the last 30 years about the future of the Australian economy. That was an incredible, incredible honor for us. The truth is, I am very clear that we live in the best country in the world. Our nation, by the title Australia, we've been here for a long time. There's been people here for a long time. But under the new flag called Australia, we've been here for 200 years. And tonight, by the time you go to bed, you will have certainty about two things: how your numbers work, what is it doing or not doing, and where we are going as a nation. I'm going to demystify a lot of bad news, a lot of nonsense, and just bring this baby home, okay? So tonight you'll learn from me what your burn factor is. What do I mean by that? It's simple. The majority of people are burning their opportunity. They have this thing called opportunity cost, and they have no idea. You will know yours. And it has nothing to do with your income. And it has to do with how much you know about your numbers and having a tool to be able to always compare where you are and where you could be. So tonight we're going to cover that. How hypnotized are you to fail? The majority of people you know are deeply hypnotized to fail. On that note, I would say this to you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to run a case study between two brothers, right? Two brothers. I'm going to give you a case study tonight that will really reveal how the numbers work. If you are here right now and you are starting to get where we're going to go, and if you know anyone who has a mortgage, who pays more than $20,000 in tax, I promise you the know-how and the learning tonight will change everything. I can promise you that now. Now, one of the things also you're going to learn tonight is how the system, the economic system, is actually rigged for you to lose. You're going to get that. If you got nothing else but just got that from me tonight, and you can have that conversation with your parents, with your brother, sister, best friend, you will notice how the numbers will shift in your life. I can make some serious promises to the future of your life the moment that you understand your numbers. Does it make sense? Most people don't. And tonight you will. And how to start fixing it. So I'm going to show you how it's broken, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. How about that? All right. Stay with us to the end for a market update. I'm starting to get excited now. So what's burn factor? What's that? What if I was to tell you that the average Australian burns more than $1,500 a week? They burn it because they do not understand their opportunity. So I would like you to write this down. Do I understand my opportunity? It is a real inquiry. Do you understand money in, money out? Where are your inefficiencies, right? Where are your inefficiencies and where can you improve it? The burn factor has to do with the fact that you live in the best country in the world. But if you don't see it, you don't see it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go really dark. I'm going to show you how the system is rigged. I'm going to show you how it works. And then I'm going to invite you to know your numbers like never before. And the truth is, as I said before, your numbers have no feelings. I have been doing this for 30 years, and I have seen so many times people with great income not getting rich, and people with basic income, actually prospering like there is no tomorrow because they understand the burn factor, they understand the numbers, they understand what's happening for them, right? So this is the result of our wealth goal. When you don't have a goal, it starts to produce some results. So what's happening right now is this. People have a burn factor where they're burning their opportunities. When we say to them, hey, if you were to put your numbers into a matrix, how's your future going to look like? In other words, if you were to live your life as this, so Our typical client shows up at 46 years of age. They have a mortgage, they have kids, they have debt, and we ask them, what do you want? And they start putting down numbers down. What you're looking at right now is people's current strategy. When I said your numbers have no feelings, how would it be for you to have a tool where you enter your numbers and the tool has no idea who you are? It's AI based, like there's no tomorrow, and will be able to give you exactly how you're tracking. You will know tonight how rich you will be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. You know exactly where you're going to land. The truth is, some people don't want to have a look at that at all. They already have a gut feeling. But the point is, the moment in which you realize what is actually going on, things can change. Check this out. So I'm now going to move on this. Benefactor per week, the first one is $3,997, right? That the second one is $5,000 per week, and the third one is $12,000 per week. That's how much people are burning and the inefficiency. And that is to do with debt that they have that they're only paying principal on, taxation that they pay that they could have minimized, and inefficiency in whatever return they're having. This is an ultimate understanding of how the numbers go. So now I'm going to build this back to front. Often when you meet people, you see their expenses, you kind of see their lifestyle, but underneath it all, the majority of people are not building enough to be able to choose when they're going to stop to work or if they want to do something else with their lives. And yet, we are in the most prosperous nation on the planet today, right? So we're going to invert this conversation and bring this baby home. So guys, let's bring this a bit closer, right, to where we are, okay? The average person, when they go to their 46th birthday, something happens on your 46th birthday. Something really happens. Maybe something goes like this. I should be ahead of where I am right now. I'm 46. It's a feeling that I should have been ahead now, right? But then when you take the average across Australia, and we're talking about from Darwin all the way down to Tassie, or we're talking from Brisbane to Perth, you're taking the average Australian household. A typical 46-year-old in Australia owns a house around $900,000, and taking everybody in and taking the average, okay? If you're in Sydney and Melbourne, the numbers may be higher, but the debt will be higher as well. So the mortgage is $590,000, everything being equal, cool, and you have less than $165,000 in super. The point is, those numbers have no feelings. How are you feeling? Oh, it is what it is. At 46, you're thinking, man, I should be ahead. I should be further than where I am right now. What's going on? But then you check with other people that don't understand the numbers. They don't understand how the system works, right? And you kind of don't get a pull. You don't get a comparison. You don't have a real tool in which to know your numbers. When I say that only 8% of people get ahead in life, is the reality that our permission for wealth accumulation is to own a house. At the end of the day, we have been programmed to get a job, to pay taxes, educate our kids, so we have to put a roof over our kids' heads. And at the end of it all, we own a house and we have some money in super, right? You see in this photo here how these guys have a big door behind them, really big door. And then what? What if I was to tell you that the majority of Australians, their wealth is in their home? So when your Aunt Geraldine told you that she had to sell the house because it was too big for her to clean, maybe that wasn't the only reason. Maybe she was trying to sell the house because she couldn't eat it. So most Australians are tracking for, at the end of the day, having educated kids and a house paid for. And then what? They have to sell that house, buy a smaller house, or live somewhere else in order to cash up to take our lives because superannuation is not enough. That is real, but not for you. Now that you are here tonight, everything changes. Everything will change. All right? So let's keep going through this. First thing that I want you to take home tonight is how debt works, all right? What is debt all about? We are, as a society, we are addicted to debt. So what I want to do now, without any further ado, I want to say to you, most adults in their 46th birthday, they have a ton of debt. How did they get there? So if you're 46, let's assume you start working at 20, and you've been working for 26 years, and you have debt. Yeah. What happened? What do you mean what happened? Everybody has debt. It's an indoctrination piece. It's a hypnotic piece. Now I want you to brace. If you were home right now and your camera's are on, would you just get this imaginary seatbelt and put on for me? No, I mean it. On the camera right now. Can you just do this for me? Put an imaginary seatbelt now. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for those of you that are playing, right? Do not fall from the chair, right? Because I'm going to take you now into the dark side. Just stay with me because I swear I'm going to give you a solution. Now, buckled up? Oh, let's do this. I want you to imagine everybody is working to one day they buy a house and they keep working to pay that house off. In order to make this fair for everybody, in order to make this work in your imagination, I want you to imagine that your house is paid for, okay? And then you went for a walk and you saw the backyard and you wanted to buy a swimming pool. And then the builder came in, the architect, whoever gives the license and says, yeah, I can dig the hole, put the pool, get the permits, get the council approval, It's going to cost you $100,000. At that moment, you have a big number in your visor, $100,000. You think this was a big summer, next summer we have a pool. So you go to the bank and you start talking about borrowing the money for the renovation. Everybody with me? Right? In this imagination, I'm just using a basic sample to give you how the whole thing works, right? And this is what I'm asking you. If you would please have this conversation with a family member. If you know anyone who has a mortgage, they need to understand this. Here we go. So what actually happens is you walk into the bank and you go with your spouse, and you say, hi, we would like to borrow $100,000. The guy at the bank says, no worries. Do you want to take it a 25-year loan, a 30-year loan, blah, 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 blah. Conversations back and forth. He punches in his computer and he gives you $644. $644 is where you are at. So the moment in which you hear the number 644, most financial institutions want you to make your decision on the monthly repayment. I want you to be very clear about what I'm saying. Every time you borrowed money for a credit card, a car, a mortgage, they will wave this magical number in front of you, 644 per month. And you look at your spouse, you go internal and you say, yep, we can afford it. And now you're not going to look at any other numbers. This is the only number that you're going to look at, $644, and you're going to make a decision on that number. Get present. That's everybody you know. You make you look at me, yeah, Julia, what's your problem? Not my problem. I don't do it that way. And I don't want you to do it that way either anymore. But most people, if you borrowed for a car, you made a decision if that car cost you $78 per week. You make the decision if that car cost you, $100 a week, and you made it on the monthly or weekly repayment. The point is, if you actually were to do the sums in Australia, every time a financial institution lends you money, they have to give you a document of how much money you're going to pay back. So if these things are true and you borrowed $100,000, you pay back $193,000 back. But you never looked at it. All you look at is the $644. Okay, got you now. $193 I'll pay across 25 years if interest rate is 6%. Got it? Yeah. So often when people go on the internet and they even do the loan calculators, they're looking for the monthly repayment. They don't look for the total amount. And there it is. Now I want you to notice something really special about this graph. And I'm going to give you some new words. Tomorrow, if you could engage with somebody in this conversation, notice how in the first 10 years, right, the debt is coming down, but very slowly, very, 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 very slowly. Write to me, please, on your communication box there on Zoom. How come the debt's not coming down? What's going on? How come in the first 10 years, the debt's not coming down at all, right? What you will notice is most people are going to write interest, interest, interest. Now, if you follow the numbers on the right, let's do this together because I told you I'm going to show you how the system is rigged, right? So in the first year, you would pay back $7,732. But if you walk into the bank and say, how much am I good for? Well, you're good for $1,780. 5 years in this game and you pay them back $38,000, right? And if you walk in and says, how much am I good for? They're going to say you're good for 10. 10 years into this, you paid back $77,000. Around the 13th year, you paid $100,000, which is what you borrowed. Notice how the graph starts to drop more significantly after the 10th, 11th year. Because inside of the computer, inside of the bank's computer, when you start paying that mortgage back, what's actually happening is this. If you two walk into the bank and say, hey, how come my mortgage is not going down at all? And then the bank manager is going to say, well, it's because you're paying the interest component first. What? Because now you have another word, the interest component. So a loan has two pieces. There's the interest component and there's the principal. And normally when you give the monthly repayment, you are the risk to the bank. So the way that they do business with you is they're going to charge you the interest component first and the principal later. Okay. But if you are to follow the track of why the average 46-year-old is still in debt, you tell me now, what will the average person do after they living in their house for 10 years? Anyone, can you just write for me, right? What do people do? Just walk this with me. What have you noticed that people do after they are living in the first house that they bought 7 to 10 years later? Tell me, what do you think they do? Yeah, they will upgrade the house. They'll sell it and buy a bigger one. So basically what happens right there and then is this. I have been paying my mortgage, not aware that I'm paying the interest component. Around year 10, when I'm just about to switch the computer or the equation inside of the bank's computer, right, to more of the principal, I sell the house and I buy a bigger one. You buy a bigger one. In your mid-40s, you maximize your debt. In your mid-50s, you go and buy the biggest possible house. And you start from year zero. When these guys are going to charge you the interest component, start all over again. That's why the average Australian will only own their own home at the end of the day. Because they've been addicted to debt, paying attention to the monthly repayment that they can afford. Watch the monthly repayment and go to sleep. Now, I notice a lot of you have arrived recently. Hey, guys, I just want you to know that I know you came expecting to see Sam. Sam is not well. He had to go to the doctors. And I am Julio Delafitte, the CEO, the founder of JDL Strategies. And for those of you that arrived right now, I'll just ask you to turn on your cameras so we can participate and play tonight, okay? I am delivering now what I call the system is rigged. So guys, for those of you that are arriving right now, debt has got to go. Watch this. You bought your first house. Let's just say you did in the mid-30s. By the time you lived in there for 7 years to 10 years, you've been paying most of the interest. And then you sell it and you buy a bigger one. Why? Because you make more money. So you got to match your income to your expenses, and people are always selling you more credit. Right. It's not good, is it? Right? Now, check this out. They upgrade their debt. They refinance, okay? back to year one. Now, let me ask you a question. When do you pay for your mortgage? When? Some of you will say to me, Julio, I pay for the mortgage on the 1st of the month, once a fortnight. Oh, I don't know. It goes from this account to that account. I want you to take note what I'm going to say next. And please call your brother, call your sister tonight and say, honey, when do you pay for your mortgage? And you watch for the answer, because it's not what you think. Watch what I'm going to say next. This is extremely important. You pay for your mortgage after tax. What? I don't care if it's in the first week of the month, second week of the month. You pay for it after tax. So you go to work, you make your money, you go to business, you make your profit, you pay tax. What's left in your hands with that money, you pay for your mortgage. So you pay for your tax first. So now let's have a look at the numbers again. All you wanted to do was to buy a swimming pool for $100,000. You went to the bank, they lent you the money across 25 years and gave you a monthly repayment. Then you're going to pay back $193,000. To have $193,000 in your pocket, you got to make $298,000. Pay $104,000 in tax to have $198,000. I can see some of you saying some swear words now, right? Like, what? The numbers have no feelings. We got to get out of this trap. You must earn $298,000, pay $104,000 in tax to have $193,000 after tax in your pocket to pay $100,000. Are you guys with me? So I want you to now to get sober to the fact that when an average Australian shows up in my life and they are 46 years of age and they still have a mortgage for $400,000, I want to invite you to multiply these numbers times 4. Get present. Somebody shows up and they have a mortgage for $500,000. When do you pay for your mortgage? After tax. So check this out. If you showed up in my life and you told Sam that your mortgage is $500,000, I already know you're going to earn over $1 million. How long does it take to earn $1 million? Then you're going to have to pay $500,000 in tax. So if you have to earn probably 1.3 mil, pay $500,000 in tax to have the compounding to pay your mortgage of $500,000. So lesson number 1 tonight is this: your debt has got to go. And whatever amount, now I promised you 200 hours worth of reading by spending a couple hours with me. If you went to the library, right, and you picked up 5 books on debt reduction and you read all of it, I'm going to give you now a hack, cut to the chase. Do not trust the bank to pay what the bank told you to pay. Do not do that. If the bank told you to pay $664, pay $800. Always pay more than what they told you to pay. Why? Because that extra money is going straight into the principal. The interest is calculated on a principal base. The sooner you pay, the faster you pay, the more you pay. So I thank God for debt, because debt allows us to buy things today that we could not afford until years to come. So thank God, at least you bought your house, because whatever you bought tonight is at discount tomorrow. So I understand if you bought your house for $1 million and it's going to take you 25 years to pay for it, yada, yada, yada. When I come to visit you in 25 years, that house will be worth $3 million or more. So I get that. I am speaking specifically about the debt though. Debt has got to go. And there's a huge difference between personal debt and investment debt. So guys, debt has got to go. So if you want to get ahead in life, debt has got to go, okay? Now, keep moving on this. So to repay a $300,000 mortgage, you got to earn around $900,000, pay the tax, pay the compounding, and I think the point is made. And then suddenly, there's other types of debt where other people pay for it. Huge switch, which I will explain in a moment. Okay? So on top of trying to educate your children and pay your mortgage down, you're going to try to get a promotion at work. You're going to try to get to retirement. You're trying to get to some place, right? So personally, okay, the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia Retirement Standard recommends that in order to have a comfortable retirement, you will need, in today's dollars, this is the recommendation written tonight, $67,000 for a couple, or $1.3 million over 20 years. $67,000 per annum is, and they're making a bunch of assumptions here, right? That your house is paid for. We know that a lot of people are going to have to use a chunk of the superannuation to clear the debt on their own home by the time that they are retired. If you are single, $47,000. I don't know. Now, I'm going to put a few things together. So I've been talking about debt, personal debt and investment debt. And then I'm going to tell you about a journey in a moment now and take this to another level. So here we go. Another rule of thumb is 67% of your pre-retirement income over the next 20 years. So if you made $100,000 a year, then you should try to budget 67% of that income should be enough for you to retire on. How are you tracking? So guys, point about that done. I am now going to move a bit faster, okay? These are some super averages. That's how much people have in super, right? Male, female, the gap, right? So the age 25 to 29, then you can see age 45 to 49. So when you sit with somebody at the age of 49 and they have 143,000, they think, I should be more ahead. What's happening? I'm matching my income to my expenses. I don't know how to get ahead. And yet we live in the best country in the world in which to prosper. So I'm going to take you there in a moment. There it is. There it is. So a pension for a couple, $41,000, for a single, $27,000. That, I think, only pays for the basic necessity of life. Is that enough for you? Cool? Now, what I want to do now is I want to explain to you guys how come we live in the best country in the world and what to do, okay? So what I'm going to do now is when JDL shows up in people's lives, the first thing we want to do is to show people the negative power of personal debt. Before I go and tell you this case study about the two brothers, I just want you to know that when I first arrived here, I could not speak a word of English. And it was a conversation with an accountant, very early days in my life, that transformed absolutely everything. And I'm going to consolidate that. This is the understanding that we bring to people. So when I said in the beginning, we have created more than 2,400 multimillionaires, 30 years, you can research us. We've done over $8 billion worth of real estate. What I want to teach you tonight is something worthwhile talking to your kids about, really getting present. The truth for me is, when I come to Australia, I couldn't speak a word of English, did not know anyone. But that software for getting ahead operates like this. Or you are accumulating capital, or you are not. Or you have that software, or you don't. So let me say this again. When you meet someone and they're actually prospering and they're actually getting ahead, there is this tiny software in their essence that goes like this. I am accumulating capital over time. So people that are getting wealthier, they are accumulating capital, and people that are not, they're not. They're just matching their income to their expenses. You cannot choose what you do not know. So now I want to show you the difference between two brothers. When I first came here, what actually happened is I immigrated here. I married an Australian girl. I got 2 jobs. She got 1 job. And then we made a deal that we will even her income, save both of mine. And we worked really hard. And as soon as we could, we bought this little house for us to live in. But it just happened that at that time in our lives, we knew another couple, and we figured out that if we live together with them. We would live in a better house closer to the university. We could even have a swimming pool. So we decided to rent that house out. And then I went to see an accountant. Young Julio, I was skinny and I had hair. When that accountant explained to me that because I did not live in the house, it was an investment house, everything changed. In other words, all the rules. So there are rules. When you live in a house, nothing is deductible, nothing is claimable. When you have it as an investment, a completely different set of rules. And then when that accountant launched my tax return, lodged it, and I got an incredible amount of tax back, I realized that something had shifted. And now I'm going to go there in this Two Brothers case studies, and I'm now going to see if I can deliver this understanding. There's like lots of books, and I'm going to deliver all the content of these books in a few slides. And I want thumbs up, thumbs down, got it, don't got it. Any questions you send to us, given the amount of time tonight, we will answer your questions via email, text. We're going to get to you. So please let us know what you want to know. Cool? So let's do this. I want to explain to you that many, many years ago, when I explained this thing about debt, I had a young man come and say to me, right, his name was Paul, and he said, Julio, I have just bought my house and my wife and I are going to move into it. I understand this debt thing. I understand it. Oh my God, what do I do? I said, well, you could just pay ahead. That would help heaps. And you save years and years in your repayment. But you could think of life differently. What if there was a tool? What if there was a way in which you punch all your numbers in? You see, right now, your life is as it is. Does it make sense? Right now, you have a strategy, and your life is operating as it does. But then there is the what if. What if you were to change your mechanism in your mind and you to integrate three things: debt reduction, tax minimization, and investing. So let's do this together. So I want you to imagine two brothers. They own an IT company together. They pull from that business the same amount of money, $190,000 a year, right? They bought the houses side by side, okay, in the same street for $900,000, and they own $590,000, okay? There you go. Now, they have $50,000 in savings. They have $150,000 in super. So you just met two brothers. They've been working in business together. They pull the same money. This is a real case study. They pull the same money from the business, and they decide to move to this nice state, and the cousins could grow close to each other. They could help nanny and, doing things together, right? And then they understood, or they came to this presentation. When they did that financial wealth check, when they actually went into the software, this is what came up. I want you to know that your numbers have no feelings. You do. So we know we're getting older, but actually the fundamentals are quite simple. If you have money in cash, it's going to perform at a certain rate. If you have money in property, it's going to perform at a certain rate. If you're having shares and so on and so forth. So imagine a calculator where you can put all your assets in there, all your liabilities in there, and say, take me to my future. This is being blunt, black and white, as where your life is leading. Look at this. It's so cool. So they punch in the numbers, and these guys would know that they would run out of money if they truly want to retire, right? If we go back here and this guy's saying, cool, we want to retire on $121,000. Sorry, in 21 years from now, on $100,000 a year, you're going to run out of money in 8 years, because by the time you retire, what $100,000 buys tonight, you're going to need a lot more money. It's called inflation. That is black and white. This is an amazing moment. So what we do? Oh, well, we minimize our tax. We're minimizing our debt, and we start investing. These guys burn in the opportunity. These guys live in Australia, where money is easy to get, where the country is going from 25 million people to 36 million people, and therefore, by staying as they are compared to what it could be, they are burning $2,190 a week. That's their numbers. That's them. Love them to have that conversation with their accountant, their financial planner, their bank manager, because that is just reality. And no one talks like this, right? But tonight we are, okay? This is my mission tonight, that you will know your numbers. No mercy. If you know your numbers, and I don't care if you're in your 60s, if you know your numbers, everything will change. If you change, everything will change. Your numbers have no feelings, you do. If there is a bit of inefficiency we can take out, that inefficiency compounds for you or against you. Does it make sense? Or your efficiency will compound for you, right? So now, let's do this. Take out the misunderstanding, procrastination, lack of vision, and the blockages for your future, right? So talking about prosperity is understanding your numbers. How do we do this? By giving you insights from being in this game for 30 years. This is what we do. We've been doing this for 30 years, right? We need you to know where you are starting from before you can know where you are going. So where are you? This couple, they're going to land at 10 years, they run out of money, and the inefficiency is around $2,000. Now, we have got to question, is my money, is my life efficient or not, right? So here we go. Let me start with the end in mind. Tax minimization is your right as a citizen. Tax evasion is illegal. Tax minimization, planning your tax, is your right as a citizen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all the loopholes are gone. There's no more loopholes. The Australian ATO, or the ATO, has more AI than you can poke a stick at it. It is the most sophisticated AI you can imagine, right? The only way in which you will get real tax benefit going forward is understanding, doesn't matter who's in government, they will always give tax benefits to the investor. Because the moment that you already pay tax on your money and you put that money back on the table to invest, you are increasing the economy. So when you put the money into shares, you are getting businesses to go. Right? The economy is growing. We put property, you're getting carpenters hired. You're getting painters are being hired. Architects are being hired. So tax minimization is your right. Now, if you start to understand that there are some ways, very smart ways to invest, therefore you're going to increase your assets. And because you did that, you're going to minimize your tax. Am I making sense? The moment in which you minimize your tax, and you get that money back from the ATO, you can go, oh my God, what will I do with this money? To the uninitiated, we put the money in to a holiday, or we fix something. We see it as income. What if you to put the extra money into your personal debt, your home? You will pay that principal way sooner, and it's going to compound for you, okay? So here's how the average person can actually make some serious money going forward. Okay, I want to show you the system. First and foremost, this is it. If you take a screenshot right now and put this on your vision board, this is it. This is how you get rich. This is how I done it. This is what I teach people. Please share this with people you love. There is no magic. There's no potion. This is it. Let me just walk you through. So, if you have a home right now, the golden circle means you've got to protect that house, and you do that through financial firewalls. But if you have equity in that house, you pull the equity and you buy another house. Do you know why? Because they're going to let you. How many houses can an individual own in Australia? How many businesses can one own in Australia? The difference between the first house and the second house is that in the first house, you pay for it after tax and after compounding. The second house, however, the tenant is going to pay for the bulk of the debt by giving you rent and the ATO. I'm going to cover that in a moment. But if you pull equity out of your first house and buy the second house, You paying for the first house, but the second house, you have two partners, the ATO and the tenant. And then as time goes by and you drive the debt down further and the houses go up in value, you pull the equity against the two first houses and you buy the third one. Then you pull your equity. What if you had a tool that had no emotion and could actually track this for you? You know your burn factor. You know your opportunity cost. Once those houses become cash flow positive, in other words, the rent is more than what the houses cost you, you can start using that extra money to buy managed funds, to buy shares, to put extra money into super. This is it. It's basic, isn't it? Most people don't have it. So what you're going to find is that I train accountants across Australia to talk wealth creation to their clients. What you're going to find is when I go and speak at high-functioning government agencies, I talk about prosperity. Our wealthy nations need to have wealthy individuals. I'm so happy you're here. Let's keep going here now. What happened to the first brother is he looked at it and he said, yeah, no, she'll be right, mate. Right? She'll be right. What's happening here now is this. When you look at what is possible right now, so the tool will give you as is, and then it gives you what's possible. So if this brother was to buy just one house, he would already be an extra $800,000 better off, and he would not run out of money in 8 years. It would take him 13 years. But what if the system was to show him every single time he could move? And the equation in this has to do with his life, nothing to do with anyone trying to sell him anything. And the difference between, I now put this together here, this is the system represented this way. This is the system now represented every single time these people can move, they will move. And the system is 100% integrated. When COVID came, when the pandemic came, I said to people, houses are going to go through up in value. You can watch it on YouTube. If you go into our YouTube channel, you'll see me talking about this. And people say, oh, Julio's into property, he will say that. I want to tell you right now, this is the most prosperous decade ever. I don't want you to miss out. Watch what's going on. We have 25 million people in Australia. We're going to go to 36 million people. And people don't understand this pie chart. The government knows in order to realign our economy, they are already approved new 200,000 immigrants. And it's a catch-22. Because if we don't bring them in, we don't have enough people for our economy. We have a very high demand of people right now. If we bring them in, every one of them will want to buy a push bike, a fridge, a microwave. If we now go into the system, before I go into the numbers, every single little bar here is a property investment. And the curve is the wealth generator. If this guy buys a property right now, an investment right now, and do nothing, this is just that. He borrowed against this house and bought one house. That's just what's possible. That is represented this way. But now, with this system, with this tool, they know exactly when they can move, how much it will cost, and there's no one calling, trying to flog them anything. It's just systematic. Now I'm going to take you into a property investment course. Cool? When you pay for your house, now I'm going to go into some numbers, and here's the thing. Most people don't like numbers. We're talking about numbers. People go, oh, I'm going to go to sleep now, whatever. Don't do this. Stay with me. Turn on your mojo. Let's go. When you buy an investment, the tenant, by giving you rent, will pay you 50% of the money. To own that house. He will be responsible for 50% of the money. The tax office may pay you up to 35 cents in a dollar. You pay 15 cents, but you get to keep the whole lot. Let's do the numbers together so you actually get how this works. So now we have this way. Let's just say you buy a unit or a small house for $620,000. Your setup costs, stamp duty, solicitor's fees, council rates, insurance, and so forth. And you borrow $650. How did I do that? You pull equity out of your own home, or if you are starting out, you can use a bit of cash to do this. So now what happens is the moment that you committed to do it, yeah, I'm doing it. Now you have to pay the council rates. Interest at 6% is $37,000 a year. Sundries and insurance is $900. Management fees, right, as an investment, cool, is $2,000. Property maintenance $1,000. So you got to find $44,000. That's what you're responsible for. And here comes your first partner. Says, good morning. May I give you $600 a week for the right of living in that house? That's the rent coming in. So now you bought that house. Yep. You have to find $44,000 a year. Now the tenant comes in, gives you $600 a week. Got it. What is going to happen now is $600 a week equals $31,200. All you're going to find now is $13,000 a week. That's it. But now comes the government. Oh, you invested. And that's what I learned from my accountant in the very beginning. This outlay, the $13,000 that you outlaying, is a tax deduction. Then the borrowing costs, the cost for getting the finance, the deduction, the plant and equipment, and the capital work. So the whole thing in carrying that property is deductible. So basically you add up all your deductions from your depreciation to the cost of finance. Everything comes down to $36,000. Let's just say you're paying 30 cents in a dollar in tax. So you multiply the 36 times 30 cents. You're going to get back from the government $10,000. So you're responsible for 44. Your first partner shows up and gives you 31. So now you have to find 13. Now that you have to find 13, you just picked up 10,000. Let's go to 11. You now need to find $2,000. So that $650,000 property will cost you $40 a week to own it. But if somebody tells you that it's all hunky-dory and that there is no risk, they are lying to you. What if it doesn't rent? What if interest rates go up? That's why that's why a tool where you can actually do your burn factor, know exactly where you are before you commit to anything. That's why you need to know your numbers, right? But this is how good this country is. Now, I'm going to close a circle. I told you a few things. We're going to go from 25,000 people, 25,000, 36,000. How many daycare centers would you like with that? How many airports would you like with that? The amount of prosperity coming upon us, if you could just imagine all these people arriving, all the services that will be created, just how much candle will be sold. It is incredibly, it is enormous. Because we are such a young nation now, what's happening also is that the price of property is going through the roof. And when people tell you they're going to crash now, no, they're not. We have a crisis of production. Next time you're in Europe or Asia, it doesn't matter really. If you're in Japan or you are in France or Spain, you are at the metro, this young couple comes out, they all looking good, clothes are nice, and you ask them, do you own or do you rent? The majority of them will tell you that they rent. You cannot choose what you do not know. This is the economic system that I want you to understand. You can own a house in Australia for less than $100 a week. It is insane. As long as you don't live in it, it's an investment. And here are the numbers. So now, Julio, I'm interested in knowing this, knowing more, but can I go talk to my accountant? Well, you can press a button. You can press a button in the Wealth Go, and there's all the analysis that you can imagine in 1 cent. And you're in your house. No one is trying to flog you anything. No one is trying to push anything on you. The numbers have no feelings. You do. That is, right? Your personal numbers. So now, what I want to show you now is compare the two. John and Mary decided they would pay for the house first, Educate the children where Paul and Susan start investing and accumulating, right? Both families are on $320,000 combined income. Their houses on the same street are now worth $2 million. That's, okay, a few years later. They have $50,000 in saving, $940 in super. They can still save $500 a week. John runs out of money in 8 years. But what happened for Paul is Paul now can put, as you can see right there, he can put in all of the numbers, special, like every number, when he bought it, how much money he spent, what his rent is, and he can adjust that at any given time. Check this out. Every single property that he adds, the system just takes care of it. Now, he's going to die before he runs out of money. So it's not easy, right? It is not easy at all, but it's very easy to do. It's not easy when you do not know. It's easy when you do know. Who would you rather be? Paul or John? And this is why for me, when people show up here and they're 46 and the only thing they have is their own home with a huge amount of debt, we need to integrate. The more you invest, less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. The less debt you have, the more you invest. I am now going to engage with the purpose of what we do for a living. I'm going to run with you right now case study number 2. I want to show you what happens when we go to work every day for 30 years. When I say to you, we have created over 2,400 multimillionaires. And because of that, I get invited to speak in Parliament. It's because of this little moment. I want to invite you right in, and I want you to go to bed tonight. No more hocus pocus, no more not knowing. I'm now going to let you in to the Wealth Girl, to a tool, and we're going to do it together. I'm going to run the case study number 2. I would like you to run yourself as a case study. So all of you that are home right now and you're watching me on the computer, just take this QR code with your phone and do it with me on your phone. If you're already on your phone, then you have to type this in, bit.ly/just do life. I'm going to do it with you right now. I'm actually going to open up a screen here and we're going to do it together. Can you just scan this in and let's register in together. And tonight you will know your burn factor. I'm going to do it like you guys. I'm going to come in just like you, and I'm going to do it with you. So I'm copying the link, right? Or you just type it in. I'm going to open up. Can you see my screen? I'm going to open up, right? And I'm just going to type it right there on Google. So now let's just go through together, okay? Can you see what I'm looking at? Right? Go.
Thank you for registering. We have sent you an email with your temporary password and login information.
Here's the thing. Your information is absolutely yours. This is a tool that we have created to raise the financial intelligence of every Australian. I want to invite you in to have a look what's possible for you. And tonight, you're going to know what your burn factor is. You're going to know how you're tracking. I'm going to create right now 3 timelines for you. Just keep doing your life the way you know it. Let's invest a little bit. Could you? Can you? And the third one is how rich you're going to be. And what you're going to watch right now is this amazing. And I promise you this, no one is going to annoy you. It's going to be like intentional. But it's the conversations we are supposed to have. Let me just put up the QR code again. All right, just give you a chance to scan this or type in this on your search bar, and we're going to go in together. Let's give you a few more moments. So now, thank you. A few of you are coming in more now. Guys, no more not knowing. And the truth is, you can take a photo of this QR code, send to anyone in your life, like your accountant, your financial planner, your mother-in-law. I don't care, because the numbers have no feelings. You do. I have trained hundreds of accountants over the years on how to teach their clients to get ahead. So once you scan this and you are here, then you register, you put it in now. You will know your numbers. That is my mission. I'll give you a couple of more moments. Everybody with me, I'm going to push through now. Okay? So there it is. We're on. Okay? Let's do this together. And when I say to you that only 8% of people have permission to get ahead, the fact that you have come here already tells me that you want to learn. And sometimes we just learn. And tonight, you can see your numbers like never before. So now I'm back on to the conversation here. To be honest, this is what's about to happen right now. You're going to know your numbers like never before. And you'll be able to have conversations with your parents, conversation with your spouses, conversation with your siblings that actually make sense. So let's go do this together. This is my life, guys. This is where I live. This is where Sam lives. I want you to understand every 2 hours across Australia, somebody is sitting together with their numbers and really getting present. So how old are you? 46. What's your household income? So let's just say husband-wife team, right? Let's just say that they are combined income for $216,000. Okay, combined. So what we're doing is getting the gross income of the husband and the gross income of the wife and putting those of them together. If you guys sitting on $70,000 each, it's $140. If you're sitting on $100,000 each, or one of you is on $130, and just add up both of them, put it in there, okay? How much have you got saved right now? This is actually very close to a couple we've seen. Superannuation, they had $145,000 in superannuation. Total managed funds was zero, right? Personal debt outside of the home loan was $18,000 for a car. How much can save a week? They told us that they could save $100 each per week, so $200. As a matter of fact, after a bit of a conversation, they took that to $250, but I'm going to leave it for $200 right now. Come back and show you what this does. They told us they wanted to retire in 20 years from now, okay? And how much they want to retire on, they told us that they would like to retire on $120,000 a year. So very self-explanatory, right? Their own home is $900,000, okay? And they owe $300,000. Now, that's it. Okay, they do not have any property investments at this point. And then we're going to now press save and process.
Processing.
My goal would be that you would be very proficient in having this conversation with your family over the next week or so, okay? Now we are home. This is actually what's happening here. Watch this. Continue as is. What is possible now? And the chain reaction, right? Now, we are saying that inflation is sitting at 4%, property performing at 7%. There are commentators now saying because inflation, property is going to perform at 9 to 11. We're just being conservative. The point is, the way that the software works, you can plug in whatever you want. It's up to you. I'm not here to say that property is going to perform at 7. If you think it's going to perform at 7, put 7. 5, put 5. 9, put 9. The truth is, interest rates sitting at 6. Well, what if interest rates went up again to 7 or to 8? Just change the number. You'll be able to see it. Here is then, every time that these guys have a 20% deposit, the software buys another house. It has a maximum of 12 properties, and the average house that buys 650, you can take it to 800, you can take it to 1 million. It's 100% your belief system plugged in. Of course, we can work with you as to what the market is doing, which I'll cover a little tonight still. Okay, guys, there they are. They're going to run out of money exactly 5 years. But if you just think about this for a second, They run out of money in 5 years because by the time they retire, the $120,000 that they want to retire on, they're going to need $273,000 to buy what $120,000 buys tonight. That's why inflation is such an invisible, eating your wealth away. That's them, as is. No mercy. But what's possible right now, the moment you press this button, what's possible right now, these guys burn 3,545. What your burn factor is. It's nothing to do with income, it has to do with the combination of how much tax you're paying, what the possibilities are. But I'm just curious because there's people that make little money and burn a lot. There's people that make a lot of money and burn little. It's all sorts of fascinations. But here we go. These guys could buy one property right now, and it straight away goes from 5 years to 11 years, right? And the performance is up here. But if you to really look at this now, this software then is predicting that these guys can do 2 property investments back to back. Now, why, Julio, can't they do more? Because in a year from now or 2 years from now, they would have to put in their income increase. What are the chances of their income increase? What are the chances of the rent increase? So the software is very, very conservative. It's imagining that they will be in the same income forever. It is imagining that the rent is going to be that rent. But what actually happens here is as you plug in the new properties, you plug in the new numbers, it will keep populating. But I want you to know the significant difference already. When they bought their own home as is, they are paying for their home alone. They run out of money in 5 years and their total net wealth by the time they finish, it's 1.3 million. That's most people you know. They have no property investments. They have no managed funds. They have this money saved. They have this money in super, and they have their home. Now, their home is not in this number. Okay, that's their wealth outside of the number. Now, if you come over here now and you go possible now, we already know they're burning $3,500 a week. They can do one property. But look at these guys go now. If they had no income increase and no rent increase, they buy 2 properties. And by just having those 2 properties over the next few years, we're talking about from 5 years to 16 years before they run out of money. And the software assumes, get this, that on the day of retirement, you sell all the houses. Well, I would suggest you see a financial advisor 2 years out, right, before you retire, because maybe you can live from your super for a while and sell one of the properties or do a few other things. The assumption here is if you sell the houses, your money is going to perform at 1% because that's what cash does. This is extremely conservative. We're talking about an average couple that can be a multimillionaire by the time they retire by simply understanding the game. 30 years of doing this. I just want you to know your numbers, right? I'm now starting, if this is a flight, when people say, you hear the captain say, crew, prepare to land. That's kind of where we are at. That's what the thing is about. It's about raising the financial intelligence for people. And it's very common for us to get phone calls with clients and their accountants saying, what's possible? What's going on? How does this work? Okay. So I'm going to give you, this report is really, really powerful. Let me just take what's going on now for us to finish the presentation. So if you watch television, you on the news, banking in the United States are starting to have a kerfuffle. So 2008, all over us again. And the media is going to sell a lot of bad news. I'm not interested. So let me give you some very key conditioning. Australia will never go to 10% unemployment, ever. We need more people. So if we were at 10% unemployment, then 90% of people get up and go to work. The train driver will drive the train. The dentist will do the tooth. The teacher will teach, right? And we have signed up for 200,000 new people arriving, right? Every year as a minimum. Every industry, you're talking about nurses, teachers, doctors, there is people shortage right now. Our economy, and they're trying to get this inflation under control because our economy is actually expanding. So now we are entering a moment in which the houses are just not going to be built, okay? So enough houses. So this is then what we have a look at the percentages of interest rates in Australia in the early 90s was sitting at 18%. I think it's interesting for us to follow the curve of interest rates to understand that we are pretty much at territory where this, right? This territory here of the interest rates that we are following. I want to say to you, from my perspective, when I have a tenant and the ATO giving me money back, 7%, personally for me to pay after tax and after compounding is expensive money. But if it's for investment, it's cheap money. And this is a huge distinction. And I would love for you to share with your accountant. I wrote a book called Is Your Accountant an Idiot? I don't think accountants are idiots at all. I think people are not having the right conversation. As a matter of fact, I think you should double your accountant's fees. But that's a different conversation for a different time, okay? Let me just give you this. Banks' predictions, all right? By 2023, the peak of 3.85 in April dropping to 2.85. This is what ANZ is saying. That's what the NAB is saying, all right? Where interest rates are going to land, right, by 2024, 2025. We can't kill our economy. And here's what we have also. People are saying, oh, properties are going to drop in value. Properties are already dropping. Yep. Check this out. It's very important. We've got to look at this number here. So Sydney, monthly growth, annual growth for 2023, -6% in Sydney. Change from peak, -6. So the media is all like, oh, but since the pandemic, we're still up 22%. So I'm interested in this. So if I sit here right now knowing that we are already, because of supply chains and all sorts of things, we're not producing enough houses and the demand's going to be greater than the supply, rents are going to go through the roof. And the moment that rents start going through the roof, the internal rate of return for property investment is going to be amazing. And people are going to borrow the money to invest. If you borrowed at 6.5%, every dollar of that borrowed money is deductible, which makes the ATO to pay more money. And they would, because you would employ carpenters and tailors and architects and painters, and more nails will be sold of all of it, create more tax and more GST. So live under no illusion. If somebody's going to tell you the property is going to crash in Australia, I don't think so. Now, if you don't believe me, just check it out the last 50 years. 2008 was yesterday. And around 2008, the houses were selling in Australia around 250 to 300 grand, the average home. Okay. So between 2025 and 2032, Australia will find itself 163,000 homes short of expected demand. That's on average a deficit of 20,000 homes a year, every year until 2032. What do you think is going to happen to rent? Most cities in Australia are sitting at sitting at 2% vacancy at a time when housing affordability is front of mind for many Australians. The last thing we can afford is having a supply and planning constraints, putting further upward pressure on rents and prices. Ain't gonna happen that way, right? Employment is sitting in Australia around 3.7. If recession comes and all the bad news comes in Australia, we are not gonna reach 10% unemployment, okay? Almost a third, 31% of businesses are struggling to find sustainable workers. We don't have enough people. You are living in the best country in the world. You are living here. For those of you that done your financial wealth check, right? and you start to see what's possible now, here's where you're going to be able to track into. Australian population is likely to hit 29.3 million by 2032. It's around the corner. Almost a 15% increase in just a decade to come. How can we house an extra 4 million people when we have so few houses? And if you don't see in your mind right now all the walls going up, and every time you see a new suburb, you can see the pharmacies, you can see the hospitals, you can see, and every single spin, it creates economic upswing. And that's where you live. Welcome to the best country in the world. As a nation, we are opening up our borders for skilled immigration and have more than 2.2 million new visas applications right now as we speak, 495,000 for the same period in 2021 during the pandemic. Here's the stats. I don't know. I love being here. Yeah, you can hear the accent, but I'm 100% Aussified, Aussianized. I am home. We will do everything and anything for you and your family. As I said before, I arrived here with nothing. I could not speak a word of English. This country has just blessed me beyond understanding. And a wealthy nation needs wealthy individuals. All I want you to know is how your numbers are performing. So, do it by yourself. We are giving you the resources. The financial wealth check is yours. It's 100% educational. No flogging, no pushing. I wish you have a conversation with your spouse, with your brother, with your parents, whatever you need to know. And if there's some things you don't understand, we are here to serve. Guys, without any further ado, I just want to thank you so much for spending the time with us. That's what it's all about. We will teach you, empower you. And if you need to get, yesterday we had a client come in and then the accountant dropped in to the Zoom meeting, asked some very relevant questions, and we worked with the client, with the accountant. It's very common for us to work with parents and kids, accountants, whatever it is that we can do. People want to know the difference between as is, possible now, and chain reaction. Let me explain to you. What is the software, you're putting in your numbers, and the software is just assuming that you're going to keep doing your life the way you have done until now. So let's just say you are 32 years of age. The software is going to assume you start working at 20 and you've been working for 12 years. If you're 32, 36, etc. So it's just going to take the algorithm. It's going to look at that and compare you to all sorts of people on the same income as you, right? And then project that forward. But then it's going to calculate what's possible for you and give you the what's possible, right? And if you just want to do one property and then compare one with the other. And then the chain reaction is, if everything is equal, it's going to map out every single property you can buy. And of course, as I showed you before, when those properties go cash flow positive, they'll buy other things like shares, managed funds, and so on and so forth. I also want you to know that the property is not a financial planning software. It's just do your life software. Another thing also I want you to know is it is extremely conservative, okay? Once we then can put in some of your numbers in a more specific way, it will get extremely tailor-made. A few other questions. What do I have to do? What is the solution? Why can I change from as is to possible now? Right, okay. So what do I have to do? All you have to do is reach out. You're already here with me. Send me a text. Tell us, I would like to catch up. We'll catch up. Whatever way you received the link to be here tonight, come back to that channel. If everything you don't know, just follow me on Instagram and send me a direct message there. We'll get back to you. The other question is this: how can you change from as is to possible now? In the buttons, in the software, as is at the top is where it takes you the moment you put in all your numbers. All you got to do is to click in the button. There's a button said as is, and then the button called possible now. Just click on that. It'll show you that. And if you click on top, and then we'll show you the chain reaction. In real life, though, if you say, what do I need to do, right? Then you need to talk to people that know what they're talking about. And if you want to talk to us, we'll talk to you and then design a pathway for you if that's what you want to do, okay? How can you reduce your tax? As I said before, most governments in the Western world will give you tax concessions for becoming an investor. And everything being equal, you invest in property, you invest in businesses, you invest in bonds, and there is always some tax benefits in the nature of the borrowing for it, in the return itself, and so on and so forth, because the governments understand that if they give you the tax benefit, you'll be stimulating the economy, which generates more tax because other people are paying taxes and then new jobs and so on and so forth, right? What's the cost of using the software? If you were a client here, nothing. If you just came in today, we're going to leave the software open for you for, I said 48 hours, but everything being equal, we're going to give it 3 months. Why? I want you to share with your family. And then it shuts down, okay? I want you to share with your accountant. Guys, I don't know about you, but I am on a high. I am on a high. This is the purpose of my life. I want you to know this technology called JDL Strategies is used by another company that we run called MediGrow. We give doctors 40 CPD points for using the technology you learned from me tonight. I came here with nothing. I couldn't even speak a word of English. And to be honest, my journey is very simple. I worked my butt off, had 2 jobs. My wife had a job, and we saved the deposit for the very first house, and we bought it. We did not live in. Then the accountant told us if we never lived in, it would be tax deductible. So I bought another one, and then I bought another one. At 26 years of age, I started JDL Strategies, and we grew and grew and grew. And the majority of people that worked here are clients here. We have created 2,400 multimillionaires by simply teaching people how to not hesitate, but to not believe that there is investing without risk. Of course there is risk. That's why we created software like that. You can manage your expectations, you can manage your fears, right? So guys, thank you for your time. My mission is completely done. Thank you for doing the Financial Wealth Check, right? And I am looking forward to any further questions you may have. I'm Julio De Lafitte, and our purpose is to raise the financial intelligence of Australia. Thank you for playing. Have a great night.
Hi, I'm Megan Jarvis, and I'd love to tell you today about how the new JDL software really changed my trajectory and where I was headed with my financial wealth and building assets and making my money work for me for the first time in my life, moving over here to Australia. I've been running my own company and finding it really difficult where I should invest and how I could gain enough capital to invest into a property. And Julio and the JDL team were able to find me a property that wasn't just an apartment like what I was looking for, but an actual 3-bedroom house with land and like no other on the market in an amazing growth corridor where they really explained to me how that asset can grow and what that can look like as a rental in the future. And we were able to solidify that property. The team assisted me in getting all of the different types of grants as a new home buyer, as well as talking the builder off another $10K for us. So could not have been more happy and more thrilled. But probably the main game changer is before you even go into purchasing a property, utilizing Julio and the team, is the software behind it, the AI that's been built over 20 years. It gives you your different trajectories. One, if you stay the same and keep going, and I can tell you looking in the numbers, and the numbers don't lie, and they don't have feelings like humans do. And it was looking really grim. And I've got a successful global well-being company, corporate well-being company, and believe me, then you can go into the next scenario where you start building your assets. And the third and final one is where you have an actual strategy to build asset producing income, and it's broken down for you. You can play around with the numbers and interest rates. It's like like no other software out in Australia. And it was able to assist me in understanding and buying my first house. Couldn't recommend them more. The journey has been amazing. The quality of service is they get right back to you And I also would say the big thing when you're investing in the largest asset in your life is trust. Trust that they've got the written track record of portfolio, and you get to surround yourself in that energy of people that have been there, done it, and now they're instilling their knowledge into you. It's like fast tracking yourself 10 to 20 years out in the marketplace, and enjoy. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
My name's Corey Batwell, and I've been working with JDL and the team there for quite a bit now. And honestly, it's blowing my brain how amazing these people are at the service and the quality that essentially they deliver to help you get a place. Like, it's nuts. So I went into their AI and their software, and essentially I put in all my details, and I just love that it scrapes the entire internet, because I'm always like, oh, I have good software and all these things. And I went in and I was like, it's actually brilliant. And it gave me such a clear picture, because if you're a busy, high-performing person in general, it's like you almost haven't got time to be like, oh shit, when am I going to go buy another house? Or what can I do? Now I've got to upload the documents. Now I've got to talk to someone else. Now, if you're like me, I like to control everything. So I'm like, okay, now I've got to go look at a house, and I've got to go find the place and look at all different things like beach, city, in between. Let's get a place. You know, look for all those things. And honestly, the level of detail that they've gone into to show the property, source the properties, they got like PDFs for days. I'm just like, what? Of like all these properties that they sort out. But even just still putting all of your details in the app so you can see, like in real time, how many houses you can get now, scrape the internet, how many you can get in the next couple of years, when's ready for the next couple of years if you stay on the same trajectory. And they've kept everything moderate. So not best case, it's like, you know, very conservative, this is what you can get. So it's like, holy hell, the reality is look like it's going to be bigger and better than this. And just looking at it from me, and we're going through the process, like myself and my partner are going through the process of getting a place right now. But even still seeing it, updating everything in the software so it has all of our details, means that I don't have to go and store my tax returns and other things and blah, 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 somewhere else. I just store them in the AI that they have built, and it just stays in there. Then every tax return, I just put it back in and update some of my money and my finances and what income's going on. They can tell me when I can get the next house. And then they find the tenants and do everything like that. And it's just been such a professional process for everything that they've done. And they're also, like, the second that you drop the ball, they're also on your case. So if you're someone who wants to build wealth through property, and you know that's what you want to do, and you want to make sure that you're getting the right property at the right place for the right price, sorting things out, that's what they've done. And it's crazy. And I feel so like, you know, at home with them, and so happy that like I've jumped on board with those guys, because I know, like, oh my goodness, they've got my back. So stay tuned for when I get like the first place and it all goes through. We're in the process of having it now, and I'm just like, it's been the easiest process. I've had bad experience with people beforehand, and it's been so hardcore. But going through this, the follow-ups, the emails, the calls, everything has just been so perfect. And it's like, you know, we can expect and we deserve that level of service, especially if you want to build long-term wealth. And knowing that it's going to be there forever, and the next time is to buy a house, they're going to ring me on the phone, or it's going to come up as a, you know, reminder in an email on the app, like, hey, you're ready to buy another house now here, blah, 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 for this much. And I'm like, oh, that takes so much thinking time out of everything. And I can build huge amounts of wealth for not having to worry about everything else. And I run a men's personal development community, which is, you know, got to be one of the best ones in the world. Like, watch out, Tony Robbins, here Corey Batwell comes. And yeah, like, it's just so good to be able to outsource that. So let's go. JD on the team are the best. If you're not anywhere else, like, this is where you need to be. So get in there, get around it, crush it. And yeah, let's all build a whole bunch of crazy amounts of property and wealth together. I'm super excited. It's really outside the matrix type stuff. Like, and you're worthy and you deserve it, by the way. So big love. Speak to you guys. Maybe see me somewhere else on here. Let's go.
I'm in the building industry myself. I work as a building supervisor. I have been in the industry all my life. And I found there's a lot I didn't know. I got on the net. I started hunting around for investing, and that's where I located JDL. And from there it developed into going to one of the seminars, just to see what all this wealth creation was about. And yeah, I got to meet Julio, and that took off for me, basically, at that point. I thought, yes, there's something in this, and I want to do something further.
I was a bit hesitant at first. Once we went ahead and sort of looked into JDL and then went to the conference, we found that he had a lot of interesting things to say, and the knowledge gained just from those 2 days was immense.
We had done reasonably well. We're not doing as well as we could. And JDL showed me how it could be improved, the way that the system can work for you, rather than, you're doing things in a sort of more haphazard way. There's a very well proven system that JDL and Julia has devised there, and that's helped streamline the little time we've got left, because really our retirement is coming around the corner and we would like to be comfortable. I'm the sort of fellow that likes to know that there's something behind something. I felt the need, as well as Bruna, we agreed that we wanted to go to Queensland and meet the JDL team.
Spending the day with them was important, putting faces to people you're speaking to over the phone or over the net, and spending time having a look at some of the properties that are available. That was really important for us. We have 2 children. Our oldest is 18 now, and it's amazing how much they pick up. So it's important that they understand that this isn't just for us, but it's for us as a family, so that they can learn as they're getting older the wealth of information that we're getting now as well, and take control of their lives.
Well, now that I'm involved more with JDL, I talk to people, and it's amazing how frightened they are to take the step to learning more about wealth, learning how money can help you make money. And Julia's got a wonderful way of explaining that, breaking it down. So for us, it all became very clear, and it was easy, really, to go ahead, to move ahead.